And your channel official name is like
It's Eric Rader or BS Incinerator.
BS Incinerator. That's right. Yeah, I love that name. I was looking at that like, oh damn, that looks really cloudy picture there. What the hell's going on with my
Did you see the sec? Did you hear my sec check? Gold roulette. Oops, shit.
No.
Oh, okay. Damn.
Were you talking about how just basically how sec checks work, or
Just what the questions were, because
right?
to me that's another one in a long list of things where, you know, it's so easy to think that we're using hyperbole and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like we're not. No matter how gross we make this look, we're still understating it.
Well, that's the thing when like I was never in, and so hello,
Hey.
how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Hi.
I'm leaving a business card for them.
Nice.
Cool. It'll probably just get blown away in the wind, but but yeah, so the questions they ask in the sec checks.
Yeah.
I was hoping that I'll pass on the business card for us.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to see you doing this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, like I just like messaged like that little like,
I love it. That's fantastic. You have no idea. That could save someone's life. 100%. You have no idea how this stuff's gonna go. And that's why I'm so impressed and excited anytime someone does anything where, in other words, it's more than what we're doing. Like, you see what we're doing, right? All the people the regular schmoes out here doing our thing. Anyone else that comes in and does anything at all, that could be so impactful. You just don't have a clue how, and none of us will know.
Yeah, and you never know what that tipping point is, what that one thing, like with Tori, it was that Norwegian guy, Andreas, who said something like, I don't know, how can you be free if you're not allowed to change your mind, or it was something like that.
Right.
And, it was just like that one thing. Yeah, tax exemption, definitely. It's that one little idea that just pushes it right over the edge, and yeah, you, like you say, you will never know what that is, and it's like, different for everybody, right?
Oh.
How long were you in and you knew it was bullshit and you were like having an internal battle, but you were still in? How long was that process?
I mean, put it like this, like, since I grew up in it, I already had problems before I did my first course.
Right.
Because I already knew, and we were already operating as Scientologists, and my mom and dad were training, and my sister is, older than me by 2.5, 3 years, so she got a start, quit school, and so I knew a ton of stuff before I started training.
Yeah.
That I already had an issue with.
Right.
But I figured it's because I don't really know the ins and outs yet, I've just sort of got a cursory understanding, so I figured that's probably why I felt the way I did. But like certain things that immediately just did not resonate with me.
Like what?
And as a kid, I couldn't reconcile. Were things like, if you got raped, that's your fault.
Right.
Like,
but you didn't necessarily know that one as a kid,
yes,
right? You did?
Oh,
shit. Oh, wow.
Because you're responsible for the condition you're in.
Right.
And so you run everything.
So no matter what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
right.
so you manage by statistics, so anytime anything happens to you, they'll say it's you got to find you're out ethics.
Right.
If things aren't going to go well again until
you
give up your overts and withholds and stop conducting yourself in the manner that got you there.
Right.
But of course, you did nothing but watch cartoons. You're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, what did I do?
What did I withhold?
What did I do? You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. I mean, you're a child.
But it's like once you agree to this thing, right? Once you agree to that philosophy, and then it's like, oh, does that apply to kids too? Yep, so everybody. Then you're in it, right? It's like everything runs according to that program, right?
All of this stuff that makes us want to vomit is perfectly normal in that world, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I forget. I always forget.
What are you doing?
Anyway, yes. So I forget some people don't. Anyway.
Don't what?
Don't want to be on the.
It's like,
I'm sorry.
Hey, you're
They
on
won't
all
do a
those,
damn thing to you in a million years.
Yeah.
No, they won't do a damn thing.
So I'm just again, that's why I feel like
I think they're focused on the top, you know.
They couldn't care less about it. You believe me. They don't have time to even think about that. They got, sassafras and DOA swinging from the fences, and I mean, you got it swinging from the cross, and acting like Tarzan. You're so far below the. Yeah, you're. It's all good.
Yeah, but on one level, it's like if you cross the line, I mean, you do on some level have to kind of be like, okay, they could come after me. They could, like I figured when I started doing this, like you got to assume if you do it, they're going to do fair game. Like that's the deal,
But if you're not streaming, they don't even
if
have
you're not
remote
streaming.
time for
Right.
it.
Yeah.
They don't have
Right.
one half the personnel
Yeah.
to even look at you
Mm-hmm.
if you're not streaming. Okay, and that's like why I was talking about the other day, that point I was making about was it yesterday's? Yeah, yesterday's stream. That the what? That we have something that's really amazing going on here, right? And it's natural for people to want to protect that, and with all the best of intentions, let mismanage know, let me know, let somebody know who they appreciate. Hey, I don't know about such and such or whatever. You guys might want to look into this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not done in a crappy, underhanded way. It's done in like they want to support and protect this, and I get it. It's normal. It's natural. But what I was saying is, there's no possible way you could join our protest and not help it. That's basically what I'm saying. It's like I won't let anyone say a single negative syllable about anybody involved in this. Just won't. I won't hear it. I won't let it be on my board. Nothing. And because like I said, I understand people love this community, and they're incredibly supportive. They'll bail you out of anything. And so they don't want anyone to take advantage of that. And I go, look, the people who have streams that are actually half or more other stuff really excite me, because I can only get people, let's say someone jumps over from mismanages to my stream, and next thing you know, I say the right buzzword and they get pumped and they come and help us. Great. Or vice versa. Who the hell? We don't care how it works. We're so happy they're there.
Yeah.
But we're never going to get that guy who likes Dan Walks LA's stream, right? Like, I'm a fan of his stream because I like kicking it on the couch and watching him walk all around the move, and I can see what's going on.
Yeah.
And the guy walks fast, and he walks a long ad way, and I could just sit and have a nap and
take it in.
Yeah, it's like,
and then you could be like, oh, that one spot, maybe I'll check that out later.
I'm like, those look some good taquitos.
Let him cover 10 miles, and I'll pick the one spot out of that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love it. It's just a chill program. I love it. But the point is, someone who's into his program, right, will eventually see him over in North Hollywood or Austin, going bananas, protesting and twerking and whatever the hell he's doing, right? And they're going to go, well, what is this all about? That's someone that mismanaged, and I have no possible way of reaching.
Right.
So that's really exciting to me, right? But And then I made an example of what happens if someone just flat out told us, lives in that apartment over there, and comes up to us while we're barbecuing and goes, you know what? I don't actually care about Scientology. I don't care. Yes, no, maybe. But you guys are really fun, and I love making the cars honk. Can I hold the sign? Absolutely. You're a wonderful piece of this pie.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
scribbling.
totally.
I can't hold the sign.
Right.
And
Can't
scribble.
do both. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
I'm totally happy to have them. I don't care where the hell it comes from. And I know how this world works. It's a really weird deal. It's normally things never come from where you think they're going to. So, like I was making a point, if you came out here and talked to your best friend, well, let's say you talk to your best friend an hour a day, no matter what, right? You guys are just super tight. And instead of talking at your house, I'd much rather have you talk out here with this behind you. And people, and every 30 seconds, you're as soon as you know, and it's a cold honk honk. Someone in your chat's gonna be like, "What the hell's going on over there?" Bingo.
Well, that's the thing. Or somebody driving down the street, they're going to be like, "What's going on over there at Scientology?"
Yeah.
And then they're going to Google it, and then they're going to go down the rabbit hole of YouTube videos, right? And then they're going to be like, "Oh shit, I had no idea. This is right in my neighborhood." You know, that's what happened with me. My first protest was like, I don't know, 9 months ago. There was something going on at the Celebrity Center, and I'm watching Aaron. And then he shows, like, I don't know, he's talking to Laura or whoever, you know, and he's like, yeah, this is happening right now. And I'm like, oh shit, I can just jump in my car and join up with that, like, in 5 minutes, you know? And so I just went and joined it, right? Now, I've been watching this for 20 years, you know, but I never went to a protest. I always would go by the Celebrity Center and look like, oh, is Tori out here? Is somebody out, you know, right? I would always, every time I drove by, I'd kind of look down the streets and whatever. But then, you know, I just happen to be watching and it's happening. I go there. It was really funny the first time too, because it was all these people that I don't even know if I've seen any of those people again. A few of them, but it was a whole different crew, and it was like everybody was looking at each other like, "Are you, you know, a plant? Are you a Scientology spy?" You know, like nobody knew me. It was my first time, but when it started up with Streets at the testing center. You know, there was a little bit of that. There was a little bit of people kind of like, can we trust this one? You know, everybody thought Mindy was a spy because she had some kind of recording thing. And what, you know, like there were various things that would happen like that. But, you know, yeah, the first thing was kind of like, because I saw it going on, it's like, oh, I want to be a part of that. But it's also like, oh, if I am a part of that, gotta realize, you know, you might be opening Pandora's box. You never know, right? And luckily, there's just so many of us that, and the funny thing is that if OSA's watching all the streams, I don't think they can. But if they, let's say they are, some of them are going to quit because of what they hear on the streams.
Sure.
Totally.
It's counterproductive. In other words, you never want your propagandist to listen to the other guy's propaganda for 12 hours.
But they have to if they know what to do with it. That, you know, right? On one level,
it's gonna sway you.
Like you got to know the other side's position in a debate. I used to do competitive debate, you know. And so, like, you know, you'd have to do negative half the time, positive half the time, you know. So you'd have to be able to argue against your own thing and win, or else you're no good. But I don't know if they can even take a chance on having them know our talking points.
But see, here's the problem. When you're doing what you just talked about,
right?
You're talking about truth. Imagine if you had to do nothing but lie.
Right.
It's really hard to debate.
Oh
2
yeah.
plus 7 is 111.
Yeah.
It's just rough. It's a rough debate.
Totally.
They they have to say that Xenu is a made up thing, even
Right.
though there's an OT3 standing behind him going, you know. They have to say all these things that they know are false.
Exactly.
Like I just put this together yesterday, okay? After 55 years, it's just amazing. I never thought of this. The police, when you're in here, they tell you the police are the evil, awful people, and they're run by psychiatry and big pharma, and the government's out to get you. Like let's say a Scientologist just punched me in the face. If I go to the police, I'll get declared. You cannot go to the police. If you got raped, you cannot go to the police. Okay? You can never, ever go to the police because they're the worst people in the world and they're out to get you. But I didn't know they're the #1 contributor to the police and that they use them for absolutely everything. Because
Right.
the communication's not the universal solvent for these people, it's the police.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they can't really use the court system like they used to. So, because they can't submit to discovery.
No.
So what they have to do if they're going to use the legal system against you is they have to get the police to do it. Right? Because if they sue you, then that's, first of all, it's not criminal, right? And secondly, they have to then be subject to discovery. But if the DA charges you, Scientology can just stand back and be the victim and be like, yeah, the DA is charging us whatever.
Yeah.
Or the DA is, the DA is getting justice for us, on this thing where we were attacked, we were victimized, whatever. But so they kind of have to use the police. Like, what else could they use, right? Either they can do illegal shit with, with PIs and thugs and whatever, which plenty of that going on,
But
right?
the other problem now is everything's on tape, right? So what you've seen in just 3 months,
Right.
you've already seen maybe 12.5 SWATs. Okay, you've seen 3 cop cars show up because you stood on the grass.
Yeah.
Yet when Chris is attacked brutally, it takes 4 hours for someone to show up.
Right.
You get a tooth knocked out of your head. It takes them 4 hours, right? That guy's juggling his own poo. We can't get someone over here while he's got a machete and juggling poo. And they literally look at us and go, well, there was just nothing we could do. He didn't meet the criteria for citation. Yet we're going to take Jade to jail.
Right.
For some BS talking, and his voice is so calming, he could put you to sleep with a megaphone. Huh? So people are seeing this, and perception is reality. We don't have to be able to prove anything. We knew that guy was 100% paid for and set up through the police and paid for by Scientology. And what does Danny find? All of that guy's crap hidden in here.
Hidden where?
In Big Blue, behind the gates.
Right.
All of his crap. But how's that possible?
Yeah.
And do you think that guy would have made a nice clean area like that? Did he look like a guy who's going to clean up after himself? Okay. So we all see this. You saw that old dude. Remember he plowed into Danny with that scooter, and then Danny gets arrested for assault.
Yeah.
You see Aaron, Aaron get bit by a dog, and yet he gets
He's the one arrested.
So
yeah.
we get to see it all live as it happens, over and over and over and over, right? Every single time, all charges dropped, sets them up for lawsuit after lawsuit. Okay, but what this shows is a racket. Is what it's known as. This is a racket between them and the PD.
Mm-hmm.
That can be proven because we have months worth of this on video. This is dangerous for them now. This is not like in the old days where no one could put this one with this one, or even though it is, you can't really prove it. We can show this is. I mean, if one time they would have just shown, like if they would have shown up to Chris in 30 seconds, and found that guy and busted his ass. Like, that would have helped their position. But
Right.
there's never a time where they take our side. By accident, they should have done it once. I mean, they could have at least cited poo-poo pants, right? I mean, you give them a ticket and then just, you know, tear it up later, but just for the cameras. They didn't even cite the guy. What? You know?
Yeah.
But they would arrest Nancy, you know, in Chicago. The guy comes out to address her, and somehow he says her boob touches his arm, and that's assault. And then they take her to jail. Okay, you can only do this crap so many times, but in the past, no one ever saw it except me and you know, Miss what is it, Miss Gibbons? What is it?
Mismanaged.
Mismanaged. We're the only two who saw it, right? We don't have it on video. So,
Right.
But now everyone sees it. Thousands and thousands.
Yeah,
of
people all around the world are watching
and
it.
it's just constantly happening. So how many times can you do this before we have a real easy case
Totally.
to prove? You know, and right now, without even proving anything, you know, everyone's on our side because everyone knows the truth. And the best part is these people do too. And what I hope doesn't happen is that anything really bad happens with one of these weirdos. I don't want anyone getting stabbed or whatever, but the point is, if something happens where someone is actually hurt, you know, badly, everything ends for these guys, because I promise you the people in here did not sign up for that. You know, they did not sign up. If you're the kind of person who's willing to give up your life for someone else and work 12 hours a day to try to make the world a better place, I mean, you're a next level person. I never got there. You know? Okay, I need a beer. You know, I can't have people screaming at me all day. That don't work. You know,
I heard that in the Sea Org, they like get yelled at like
all day.
that they just like get
Were you in the Sea Org?
No,
No,
I
no.
couldn't handle it for 2 minutes.
No.
I saw how everyone was spoken to. I'm like, these guys are insane. But they look at it like it's absolutely normal and fine, and in fact, it's promoted.
Yeah.
Because you being tough and hard-nosed is what it takes for this to work. And the namby-pamby dilettantes we don't have time for. We'd rather
Right.
have you dead than incapable, right?
that sounds soul crushing.
It is.
It's just like very like it's very like how would I say, it's very like distressful, like very like it wears down on your mental health like that. Or,
Yeah.
It totally does. It's a horrific position to be in. But what I was going to say is those same people who signed up for this, there's a line in the sand, right? They're not going to be able to stomach people fighting for them. And we're the only people ever to fight for them. Ever. So the people fighting for them, with the one chance they have to get out of here, you're going to stand by and watch us get hurt? At some point, you're going to go, okay, that's it for me. That's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, first they have to realize that that's what's happening, you know, because at first, of course, they're going to believe the Scientology line, right? That, well, these are SPs and, you know, they're just trying to ruin a good thing and all that.
The only thing Scientology has going for it right now with the people in here is that everyone's going to keep it to themselves. More people know about this than Scientology realizes.
Yeah.
You can't keep phones out of Folsom Prison, so you know you can't keep them out of here. Okay?
Yeah, really.
Okay? So people are watching
Yeah,
this manage while
that's a
they're
good
on
point.
in the bathroom. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and people are watching our stuff. That's why I say once I film this, it doesn't matter that they watch it on. It just needs to be on a stream. You know, and so what's going to happen is because there's only one or two people in that entire building that you're going to be willing to go off the reservation with, like to talk out of school, because you get written up for anything. This is North Korea here.
Yeah.
You don't trust anybody. Okay?
Yeah.
You say one word and your life is upside down and horrific for months. So you're going to find someone you trust after years and years and years. And let's say it was me and Mismanaged, right? And I'm going to literally keep it to one or two people so I know who ratted me out.
Right.
Okay? And vice versa. So we're going to keep it super tight. And so we don't know everyone else's 1-2 buddy. You know, like, we don't know. but we can all know, and we don't know.
But
we
a
all
lot of people have them.
Okay.
We're not the only ones,
Yep.
in other words. Yeah.
And you know what it's like to lose a buddy. Like, I mean, you rely on that to get through this kind of horrible world. And I've seen that with people who escaped North Korea. They're like, yeah, my one buddy Tony. I mean, if it wasn't for him, I would have went bananas. You know,
Right.
he's the only guy I could talk to, right? So I was saying this a month ago. You go up to birthing, and your buddy ain't there. You know, like, oh shit. And then let's say you move your pillow and there's a matchbook and it says peace out, SPTV, you know, and the number. He'd be like, I ain't going through one more day of this without my boy.
Right.
I can't take it.
Right.
And believe me, you can't. You have to have somebody you can, you know, talk to in this miserable world here. You know, so and it's the most valuable thing in the world to you. So that gets taken away. Oh, dude. You're gonna go, I gotta get out of here, you know, and you won't care anymore. You just won't care. But right now they're so beat down, you know, and you're trained to believe everything's your fault. So it's really hard to get out of that. You know, it took me, like, I'm still uncomfortable taking compliments. You know what I mean? Like, it just like, cause should I get something good? I'm supposed to get crap. You know, like, it does a number on you, and you're always taking responsibility for stuff that has nothing to do with you.
Right.
So you know, and you have to have that mindset to even believe in this. You know, you're responsible for getting rape business. It's ridiculous, right? And like you were asking me first, come back to that. That's one of those things, you know, that I was like, I never one time thought, I'm like, that has to be wrong. There's no way you could tell me that a guy stabbed 5 times in the back of the neck had it coming. You know?
Right.
I'm just like, what are you talking about? There's no way, you know? But the way I'm talking now, like, you'll never talk in here because...
Sorry, people, my gizmo is messing up.
Right.
About that, people, I don't know what happened. My gimbal messed up.
Yeah.
Just get out of like my comfort zone, you know, looking for that emotional safety because, you know, it's like hard for me.
Sure. That's absolutely. I mean, I think that's universal, you know. It's no, I'm unglued though, I promise you. And once it starts, there'll be no stopping. There'll be no stopping.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, that whole, you know, because I spent time in East Berlin before the wall came down.
Wow.
And so I knew people, you know, I had personal friends in East Berlin, and they were against the government. They actually signed petitions to leave, which put them on the total shit list. It's like as if you went to Scientology and said, I want to route out, right? You know, you're going to be in the shit the whole time, and all they're going to do is try to... So this friend of mine was an engineer. I was telling my stream, sorry stream if you heard it yesterday, but he was an engineer. And so when he signed up to leave East Germany, they fired him because the government had all the jobs in a communist country, right? There's no private companies, right? So he gets fired from his engineering job, and they make him a manager of a chocolate factory.
Fun.
Where everybody is mentally challenged underneath him.
Okay.
So that's everybody he's managing.
Okay.
And instead of being an engineer, he gets to try to herd cats, you know, in the chocolate factory and make this happen, right? But once a month they bring him in, which is I'm sure what happens if you try to route out. They bring him in and they're like, hey, we got this really good job, you know, here's all the perks and here's the pay and whatever. If you just take back that application and, you know, agree to stay in East Germany and whatever, then, you know, you won't have to work here. And he's like, I like working here. I'm fine. And the messed up thing was the wall came down before the guy ever got out. So he could have just taken the damn engineering job and you know, but you know, but they would put you through this crap. You'd be on the shit list, you know, and everything you wanted in that country, you had to go through the government.
Okay.
And so the government would be like, nah, you know, nobody's going to give you a pass. Nobody's going to give you anything, right? But then what happened was, as soon as there was some cracks, all of a sudden what happened was they were like, they signed a thing like, oh yeah, people are going to be free to leave. But they didn't say when. So everybody just went to the border. And then the guards were just like, no, you can't leave. And they're like, well, they said on TV or what, you know. And everybody just kept pushing, and every border thing, people were pushing and whatever. People in the West were climbing over from the other side, right? And they just had to open the gates and let everybody go. You know, there was nothing they could do. And I think Scientology, you know, my thing in my description for today, as I was saying, like, they're in there. Okay, they're never gonna get any large infusion of new members ever again.
No.
Okay, that is never gonna happen. I mean, you know, unless they go to some like third world country, no offense, but you know, give everybody $100 to join Scientology, you know, what I mean, they would have to do something ridiculous that would be found out and would ripple through the organization.
Be careful about this guy on that. That's the guy who blasted into Danny on that scooter, that old dude. So if you see him coming up here, just
well, if you see him coming up here, tell me.
Yeah. Yeah, the old dude. Yeah, he's the guy who blasted. Yeah.
But you know, so they can't get new people, which means that everybody that's like a public member, they got to drain them more. They got to reg them harder and try to get more money out of them. The whales, they got to try to hit the whales up. But, you know, rich people are smart about money. They might be dumbasses about being in a cult, but eventually their accounting instincts are going to kick in and they're going to be like, I mean, rich people usually own companies that they're used to like looking at the books and seeing how things are working and right. And they're like, okay, you said you needed $20 million for these orgs. We gave you $20 million. I don't see any deliverables, you know, I don't see any results at these orgs. So when you come asking for another 20 million, I don't think so. Eventually it's going to dry up, right? Don't you think?
I don't know, because I always used to hope that, but it doesn't seem like it because they just keep on, the big ones just keep giving. But that's almost immaterial too, because one of the things that protects cults, right? They're all cults. Another thing they have in common is they like to make their own lingo, you know, nomenclature, words that no one understands but them.
Yeah.
And it gets you insular, and it gets you, you know, it just no one knows what you're talking about.
Right.
It's just safer that way. Well, it comes back to haunt you too, because no matter how much money you have, like I could give them a check for $20 million, how are you going to replace the 3 or 4 people that you just lost? Like, you always have to rob Peter to pay Paul, because you can't get a new person and put them in that post.
Right.
It takes 2 years minimum to have any clue what these people are talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Any idea at all. It's all good, bro. So that's the real problem they're in. And what I always try to tell people
is losing trained people.
Yeah, and
okay.
Plus, look how sharp, you know, how people love to say, oh, if you're a Scientologist, you must be an idiot, right? How only an idiot would fall. Okay, well, we all know who are in this movement You know, take one look, Laura or Serge or, you know,
Yeah.
Aaron and Natalie. These people are sharp as tacks.
Yeah, not dumb
Okay?
people whatsoever.
Not even. So if let's say Natalie, you know, was trained in such a way that I could put her in 3 different divisions, okay, and 2/3 of the posts in 3 different divisions. So I could use her to shore up something real quick if I need to, right? But when you start losing those people, you know, Aaron, you know, is a supervisor. A lot of people, that's the last job in the world they want to be. You know, they'll do anything but be a supervisor. That's you know, that's a tough job. But you can't take someone new off the street and go, okay, now I'm going to throw you into here. It's going to take at least 2 years for them to learn what they need to know. And how do you know they're not going to say, this sounds like a crock of crap, before they even get there? Because why I'm not so worried about new Scientologists, I mean, I love it when we stop someone from going in. I mean, it's fantastic. But I'm saying, well, I'm not as concerned about that. That's the least of my concerns. Is only 2 out of 10 people keep going after 2 years. They don't even identify as Scientologists anymore. You know, and that's always going to be, because you know what? I'm a curious guy. I know you are. You know, everyone who's ever gone down a rabbit hole or two, you know, you want to find out about it for yourself, and people do that, right? But they have this all set up where it's nice and inexpensive. You know, it's $50, $80. You know, how to be a better boyfriend or what, you know, and it's all good. And I'm talking to you, and I'm meeting good people, and I'm feeling good about myself. And I stopped drinking a gallon of whiskey every night. You know, things are going better for me.
Right.
All of a sudden, you hit. They only let you do a couple, because there was a whole bunch of courses I wanted to do that were at LA Day, the beginners organization up by the parking lot. There was a bunch of them, but they only let you do a couple before they get you a headlock and say, you got to get on the bridge, brother. You know, it's time. It's time. You want to go free? You know, you want to get somewhere, or you want to just keep, you know, treading water in this, you know? And you're like,
okay, so what's the difference? You say, I want to get clear on this.
Yeah.
So there's doing courses like that, and then there's being on the bridge.
right.
Okay, what's the difference?
Okay, so the beginner courses are there because they have this personality test you probably heard about, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's how they get, it's like the cheat code for a fortune teller. Okay, they know how this works, and so with 200 questions, a bunch of them are innocuous. Okay, but it makes it hard for you to remember all the ones that weren't. And what happens is you give them the answers. So all of a sudden they look at your results and they go, having problems with your boyfriend, a little problem at work, you have a little bit of trouble with authority, right? And having a little bit of trouble with money, like car problems, and then you're just like, how do these guys, wow, right? They just nail it. They hit it right out of the park. And then they go, guess what? Here's a course for $50 called How to Get Along Better with Your Mom. You know, here's how to make more money. What, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, wow, that's right where I'm.
That's exactly what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's only $50, like I said. Then I'm in with you guys, and we're having a good time, and I feel like I'm really getting better. You know, these guys care about me and all that.
Right.
Stuff. So it's this great place you reach. But then what they do is they say, okay, you're doing great. You know, well done on those 2 courses. You know, now's the time. Get you on the bridge to total freedom. You know, you think you're doing well now, just wait, you know.
Yeah.
And then they'll put you on the Hubbard Associate Scientologist course. It's a mini baby communication course where you're first introduced to TRs, training regimens, training routines, where they learn, these routines allow you to treat others in a way you never would be willing to do otherwise, and to be treated in a way you would never allow otherwise, okay?
Right.
That's really what it is. But
so it's basically like getting you acclimated, whatever, to being in a cult, to undergoing the cult programming.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
But what happens is, now you've done the baby comm course and the other 2 courses. Now they hit you with the Hubbard Qualified Scientologist course, and this is where 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 are like, later. because it's at least $1,000-$1,500.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're like, wait a second, dude. Wait, what?
Yeah,
How much?
right. I like those $50
I like
ones
that $50
better.
one. How to get along with my mom. That was cool.
Right.
What's this? 15 hundo, right? And they're like, hey, don't worry about it, because what you put out, and it comes back 5 times better, and all this kind of crap.
Right.
And ask anybody. This guy here, in the Porsche, he was in a unicycle yesterday. He did 3 of these courses, and now look at him. They just BS you to death. And then what's your credit card worth anyway? I mean, who cares how fixing your car or going free? What do you want to do? Well, and they just give you this whole, and so. But the point is, 8 out of 10 people are gonna go, hey man, I really appreciate it. I'll definitely be here tomorrow. I forgot my credit card.
Yeah, right.
And then they change their number later.
No, thank you.
Okay.
I'll just take it back. Like,
Never see him again.
yeah.
Okay,
I would have just bounced. Like, I would have been like, no, but it sounds good. But
Right.
I'm not too broke.
I mean, it's like I say,
Because you're not in the cult mentality yet
Nah.
at that point.
no.
So they can't push you around the same way
No.
they do with an actual Scientologist.
And you've never ponied up. And once you pony up one time, obviously it's a lot easier to pony up again, right? But that first time is rough, and now you got books and tapes and stuff you gotta buy. You're like, wait a second, that doesn't come with the damn. What did they just give me that $1,000 for?
Right.
Oh well, that's the course and the check sheet, but you still gotta buy the book. That doesn't come with it. Damn, and so 8 out of 10 will never do this again. So like I said, I'm not that worried about that. But you would have to go at least 2 years worth of training to even support any of these divisions in here in a meaningful way.
Well, okay, let's say before this was all happening, before this wave with streets, how many new members do you think they were getting, every month or what, just in LA?
It had to be very, very small, because otherwise, like back in the day, they just hit you with Scientology. That was the pitch. Dianetics and Scientology was the pitch. There was nothing opaque. Everything was crystal clear. Windows open, lights on. It was a complete opposite approach of what you're seeing now.
Yeah.
They never once had to do this. Bring your kid in for modeling pictures and all this crap like they're doing in North Hollywood to get the Latino community, to come on board. And of course they get there, anyone, like I'm half Latino, I know you can't, your mama says no more of this and that's the end of that, so.
My mom was like that. She told me, like, just be very careful, because there could be abuse going on. And I was always
I can't hear you.
She's like, just be very careful, because there could be abuse. She's like, just don't go there. She's like, because most places are for Hollywood actors, and like they give so much money.
Well, that's what they want you to think.
So why do you even go there?
But they never had to just flat out lie to get you in the door. They would just give you the pitch. It would work or it wouldn't.
Well, they did acting stuff,
but that was only at CC. Like they didn't try that crap.
Okay. They wouldn't be doing it
That
in
ain't
North
no law.
Hollywood.
Yeah,
or whatever.
that would never happen.
Right.
So
Okay.
like the fact that they adopted that CC's madness, which was understandable, and they could pull that off because of Cruise and whatever, right? Travolta, but come modeling whatever, and then hey, want to buy Dianetics? This is so ridiculous, and you see them all coming out of there. I saw 10 staff members in that entire place.
Celebrity Center or here?
North Hollywood.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's nobody there, and they're just renting out these halls and then acting like they had something to do with it.
Right.
So they let these community organizations, the Thai whatever association of elder whatever.
Yeah.
You let them use the estate room and the conference rooms, and then they go, this is us partnering up with the Thai blah blah blah.
Right.
You had nothing to do with anything. You let them use a room for free. You weren't even in the meeting. They didn't want you in the meeting.
No.
They're using the room.
They were speaking Thai anyway. You wouldn't even know what the hell they were talking about.
Totally. So, but
right. So that's when they were doing that Israel one. That must have been that everybody was at.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It never has anything
but
to
that's
do with
why
the
it's really good to protest it, because then these groups are like, oh, we don't want to rent over there. We end up getting protested by these people,
Yeah, you don't want to
screaming about Scientology, like, oh man, stay away from that,
Yeah.
So that's a really good thing to protest then, to know when they have events at these places that are completely not related to Scientology, because that's a whole other group of people that are going to go home and Google Scientology protests, right? That's a whole new market. All right, we got some marketing now. Yeah, my marketing brain is firing up, We need to find.
I know, it's just like I was gonna head out. My work thing now.
Okay, well, hey, I love seeing you. It's always great to see you.
Great to see you.
I hope you keep doing what you're doing, and don't be surprised if you end up being the whole reason this place falls. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. That's how this stuff works.
It's like pickup sticks, It's just that one, or Jenga, or whatever, right?
Jenga, yeah.
It's that one thing, and then boom. It's like, oh, that was me,
But always
right?
come by and say hi, and come by more often.
Yeah, it's just
definitely.
I just take public transit because I don't drive.
Cool.
I mean, I don't have a car of my
Sure.
own yet.
Well, we're always here for you if you need a friend.
That touches me.
Good.
I mean, it touched me, in a positive way.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Eric.
Eric? Oh, okay.
Davey.
Davey? Oh, okay.
That's my
What's your
official
first
name.
name, or am I able to ask with this on?
That's
I can't hear.
Griselda.
Oh,
Griselda?
got it. Got it. Okay. I don't know why, but I thought it was something else. I don't know why.
Very German.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a great day.
Have fun at work.
But yeah, that's why I was telling my chat yesterday, like, we need everybody and everything, and
Yeah.
even though my PTSD makes it difficult as hell for me to be around, the sirens and screaming and all that kind of stuff, it just triggers the hell out of me. But I know without that, there's no one watching you and I right now. We don't have anybody watching. It's because of the screaming from rooftops and everyone going to getting arrested every Thursday. That's what's made this boom.
Right.
Okay.
We're being boring now. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean this is the real stuff. So the people who are serious are gonna watch
right.
now.
Yeah.
And thank God, because we don't know what they're gonna end up doing eventually.
Exactly.
And what your intention is. My intention was to come here and say thank you to whoever I found.
Yeah.
And that was it. I had no intention of doing anything else. And
Yeah,
then even when
I heard that yesterday on your stream.
Yep.
I was like, I had no idea that was the deal. And it was Selfless Self who interviewed you first, right? And then I saw that, and I was like, oh, I want to talk to this dude. Yeah, for sure, And then I was really surprised to see you there the next day, because, yeah, it did look like you weren't here to join up in the, but the next day I was out here, and so were you, and I was like, awesome, okay, here we go.
Even then, I'll admit, I admitted it yesterday, and I'll admit it 100 times. I after speaking with DOA and Selfless, I thought to myself, okay, I'll give this a whirl, but really so I can say I did. So when I failed miserably, I can say, hey, at least I tried.
Yeah.
That was the idea. I didn't think I was going to come here 2 days in a row.
But what would failing miserably even be? I mean, if 5 people watch, and they get some information out of it, and one of them tells some other people, that's all you need, really, I mean, obviously more is better, and sure, but it's really a matter of like I started watching the Anonymous stuff 20 years ago, or whenever the hell that was, and I probably watched it even a little before Anonymous. I was aware of it, But then once that started going, and the Mark Bunker stuff, and Tory, and Angry Gay Pope, and all that, and I was hooked, man. I was watching all this shit like hours a day, you know, back in the 2000s, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then, you know, you fast forward like whatever it was, 15, 20 years later, and I'm out here,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, you know, you take all these random people around the world that are watching this stuff. I mean, hopefully 20 years from now, there's not even going to be anything to protest. I'm not saying there won't be some organization, and they'll probably have a bunch of buildings they don't need that are getting decrepit because they don't even have enough people to maintain the shit, you know. But like, I don't think
fire sale, and I think they're gonna.
Yeah.
4 or 5 people are gonna parachute out with an enormous amount of money, and this whole thing's gonna.
Dude,
crumble.
that's what I've been saying, that this whole idea of taking away their tax exemption. Okay, so listen to my theory. Give me some feedback. So here's my theory.
Okay.
David Miscavige wants to lose the tax exemption.
I love this theory.
Okay.
I love this theory.
Because he loses the tax exemption, now Scientology becomes a corporation, and he's the owner. Or, you know, he and some of his cronies, whatever. Yeah, he doesn't even have to own it,
Right.
whatever.
Owner schmoner.
Okay, so then he goes on a real estate sales binge and sells all the shit and gives himself bonuses, and his buddies, you know, his accomplices, and they all like give each other bonuses, right?
I love it.
And they sell off all these buildings because now they're not tax exempt buildings and whatnot, right?
Right.
And so then, and then he leaves it as like some little self-help organization with like 10 branches around the world, whatever. And eventually, like, those branches have to, like, you know, they got to buy their license from the organization, and then if they go bankrupt, nobody gives a shit, you know.
Right.
And so it just kind of peters out. By then, Miscavige is dead. He's like, he got like $1 billion to his, you know, in his own name or whatever, you know. Why would he give a shit? If it's all going to hell, why not just do that instead of like hanging on for the tax exemption and all that shit for 20 years and fighting? Why not just make it a corporation? Now you're rich and you can cash in, right? Now, of course, if he's a true believer and whatnot, you know, maybe.
Why has he been on OT3 for 30 years? He doesn't believe any of this.
Right.
He knows better. He knows it's all crap.
Well, and also he doesn't want anybody auditing him and getting in his head.
But that's all solo auditing. But it's
Okay.
He would have to be his own case supervisor. He ain't gonna let anyone read that crap. Okay, what he did with zebras or whatever. He doesn't want anyone to know.
Right. So, do you think that could be my scenario? Do you think that could?
I like it. I mean, it has teeth, because here's the thing. Not only does he not care about this, a lot of people in here in high positions don't either anymore. They've all given up because, and I can prove it too. Okay, if this was 1992 and there was a Paris Celebrity Center 2 close, and he would have closed it, he would have been declared. He would have been given condition of treason and been declared an SP and booted right out of the office. Okay, they'd have physically taken him, and thrown him in the street, right next to poopy pants. That's what would have happened to him. Right. Because LRH said if you ever close an org, it's treason. Right. It wasn't, but with these 5 exceptions, no, it was just straight up. And stuff like that used to be followed, and he used to follow it. Right. And then he, after 30 years of giving us these stories about, you know what, I found a matchbook where LRH, you know, or a napkin, and he wrote, you know, add more semicolons. And then he died. Yeah. And that's why we have the new age of tech, and now that.
Right. Know, everybody has to buy the books all over
like
again.
Golden Age of nonsense. By doing that enough times, now he just doesn't follow absolute policies that are clear as day.
Right.
And he has no fear
Mm-hmm.
of retribution.
Yeah.
So, and people obviously don't care because they could hang him out to dry. They could say, you know what? We're not doing another thing. We're all going to sit here until that you open that son of a bitch back up and you leave the premise. Like, this never would have flew.
Yeah.
Okay? In the late 80s, early 90s. No way.
Right.
So, people don't even care anymore who are in this. They're like, what are you going to do? So he ain't following LRH. Big deal, just a couple places. Like, that kind of attitude would have gotten you thrown out on your butt instantly.
Yeah.
For 40 years. Now it just doesn't matter. No one says a word about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? No one has any issue with it. So
Right.
I don't think I don't think anyone's going to stay here long. When it gets harder, and he keeps turning the pressure up and turning because that's all they know.
Right.
So,
That's all they can do, right? That's their only move.
And they got to keep you in fear. Like, if they kept you in liability, the only reason to even have higher conditions is to give you hope of getting out of what you're in, right? So it's like,
Right.
but the reality is all of these orgs are now in a range that's so low. In my day, even if your stats were up, they would say the range is so low, it's still down.
Right.
We sold 8 books this week. Okay, what? We only sold 7 last week.
Mm-hmm.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
So these people are in conditions they can't possibly get out. Like, I wrote in front of AO, Portland, Denver, Inglewood, North Hollywood, Sacramento, SF, San Diego. They're all empty.
Right.
They're all empty.
Everything's empty. I
Okay.
mean, this is probably one of the most active places in the whole
To the planet.
Scientology universe.
For
Yeah.
sure. Like, I used to have these ideas until I saw Up North in Scientology's site. Because they do a good job of this. Some of the only pictures like I have in my head of Copenhagen, are the way they do it with the lights on and
Right.
photoshopping Mismanaged and Eric Rader 4,900 times, so it looks like it's packed.
In the background, yeah. It's a little AI background people.
And it looks like, wow, this is amazing. Balloons and everything.
Right.
Well, I'm watching her stream last weekend, and there's nobody. And that's the biggest joint in Europe.
Right.
There's nobody there.
Yeah.
They've got 50 staff members. What?
Doing what? Yeah. Like, what are these people doing in here all day long?
Well, they got stuff to do in here, but this is one of the.
But like, what kind of stuff do they do? I mean, like, if you don't have new people coming in, you don't have that many people auditing, whatever.
But they're gonna. So you're always on useless work. Like, they're gonna have you do letters. Write letters to people who have told you to F yourself thousands of times.
Right.
Okay, right. Mismanaging one more letter. Where have you been? We love you. What? Your last course you do was 83.
Right.
But you got to get the letters up. You got to get the letters up.
Yeah, that's a stat, right?
Yeah. So you got all these meaningless jobs you got to do. They'll have you, maintaining the health of this building, cleaning it. I mean, there's always crap to do, meaningless jobs. And they also are throwing these people all over the place. Like, you saw a couple of guys from here in Austin.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they don't have any staff.
Right.
Right? So they're using you in every way they can think, throwing you to Sacramento, Portland, whatever they need.
Or just to be in the crowd for the openings and all that. They got to pad the numbers for that. And they don't even do that very well.
Right. Yeah. So it's
like, okay, so like, let's take a place like Austin, where, they have the big opening, they got the people back from Florida that have had their 2 years of special training and whatever, and there's Pearl Snappy, like, shutting the whole damn thing down, right? And
get back here.
And so what is their big strategy? Like, oh, okay, we had the most cutting edge training,
selling a book,
right? And so then what? Like, what are they doing in there? What the hell are they doing in this place?
They, like I said, they still have a couple of people in here training, and
I mean, yeah.
You
So
know.
they're auditing a few.
But it's only because this is one of the 3 places or 4 places on Earth you can do some of these services.
Right.
So
right.
that's why there's
Yeah.
people.
Sure.
Okay, that's why there's nobody in Englewood, there's nobody in North Hollywood.
Right.
You know, what a cool dog. The tail is so neat.
Because they can only do the most basic services anyway there. So that would mean they would have to be bringing new people in, because those are the only people doing those services, right?
But here's one of the things that would really mess me up if I was in here. Okay, like let's say I was just still hardcore somehow,
Right.
didn't know the internet
Right.
existed, whatever, and I was like, okay, those are all SPs out there, all pieces of crap. The one thing that would really kick my ass would be to find out there's nobody in these orgs. That
Right.
would kick my ass, because
You always think some other org's doing great.
well, the whole reason I've been eating this mile-long shit sandwich, right, for the last 30 years, if I'm on the Sea Org, was the greatest good for the greatest number.
Right.
I'm sacrificing myself,
Yeah.
and that's what gets me up in the morning and keeps me running.
Right.
Well, if I'm doing it for nobody, I'm out of here. Okay, I ain't
Right.
taking this beat for 3 people in Englewood. What are you talking about? Right? I mean, I'm in a condition of confusion because I can't sell a book because Sassafras is screaming at the. I can't. I'm done. I give up.
Yeah.
I give up. I'm waving the flag, man.
Okay, but then when they're shipped around to these different orgs, they must be finding this shit out. I mean, they must know this
But
by
see,
now.
you still think it's just that org, and you went
Right.
there to help fix it. And
Right.
remember, you always
and
know.
you assume it's going to be fixed after you leave, I guess.
Well, you would never think what you and I know.
Right.
You would think that the tech will work. It's just their ethics is out.
Right.
And when the ethics is out, the tech won't.
But
go
I mean,
in.
10 years of that, and you're going to start thinking like. I mean, and not everybody. Some people
Well,
are never going to wake up
let's
to
say
it.
I keep sending you're
Right.
my boy to go kick people in the ass. I send you to Portland. Again, you're going to be like, okay, it's all you guys are out ethics. You're all in a condition of liability. I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum. I'm all out of gum, and you just start whooping that foot all around, checking Adidas at everyone, yelling and screaming, and then the stats are always going to come up a little bit. Once you threaten everyone with their life,
Right,
you
right.
knife to everyone's neck, yeah, they're gonna come up with just a tiny little tick.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna say, "Don't make me come back here." That when the tech is only not working because your ethics are out. Otherwise, the tech would work.
Right.
And so now I send you to Inglewood. I'm not gonna let you just stay there. Okay.
Right.
And now I'm gonna send you to Inglewood. I'm gonna keep doing that, and you're gonna think, "Hey, when I got there, people were at attention and things were working." Okay. No more.
And you're not going to really know that once you left, it just went right back to where it was.
Well, you also never listen to reason, so that's impossible when you're a part of this. And
Right.
and what the staff know, who's lower on the totem pole, what the staff knows that you don't know, like when you walked in there, maybe Pearl Snappy or DOA or Sassafras or Aja wasn't there that day. Okay, the staff knows, even though you are the ass kicker and the head person on campus, you can't sell a book with these guys screaming at you. Okay, let me see William Goode
Right.
Sassafras standing on both sides of you. Sell this book, champ.
Yeah, right.
Okay, you couldn't give a Way to Happiness book away with $5 bills attached to it. Okay, so that's what really hurts at the end of the day is when you get your butt kicked, but you know that your senior can't do it either.
Right.
And so you just can't say Pearl Snappy because you'll go to ethics. It can't be the reason.
You can never blame it on something
it has to
like
be
that.
something you can take control of.
Right.
If you can't take responsibility for it, it isn't the why.
Right.
That's
right.
the tech.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And you're just like, dude, this is stupid. No one can do this. You know nobody can do this. And That's why they're snapping. I mean, in my entire 50 years of this BS, I've never seen what I've seen in the last month, which is we've got a OT8 pushing Laura. We got an OT8 pushing Jessica. I mean, men pushing women into the street and into cars. I mean, talk about cracking. You know, we got an old man on a scooter. What the hell's he even on a scooter for? He's 30 years too old for that thing, okay? And he's smashing into people. I mean, you got the staff member fighting Jay, losing his mind. You got that guy going after Selfless in Austin. This stuff never happened. You're supposed to be poker faced till the day you die.
Well, I mean, they would get in your face, but they wouldn't.
You're not supposed to do that. If you even show discomfort, discontent,
right,
any of that, it's flux.
That's
city.
in turbulation,
It's
right?
It's retread those courses. You're back on the freaking HAS course. You're a bum.
Right.
Okay? You let this guy get, you know, they do everything shy of putting their balls in your face on bull baiting to make sure you never get red in the face, you never move, you never flinch. Okay?
Right.
Your breathing doesn't change. You don't have a single mannerism that shows up. Nothing. Okay? And so you can't do that. Those people are in so much trouble. Oh my God. I can't even begin to tell you.
But they probably got worked up through some meeting, you know, I mean.
The pressure gets to you.
Right.
I don't care who you are.
Because they have to do something to get their stats up, right? And then they're yeah, it's the frustration of knowing like nothing works, right? Like nothing is working. See, what I like about it is like, it's like a scientific proposition. Like, okay, if you boil the water to 100 Celsius at sea level, it will boil.
Right.
Okay. And Scientology has these things like that, these beliefs or whatever, axioms, right? That just get proven false over and over again.
No,
right?
because your ethics are out.
Right. Yeah, there's always some little
there's a reason for stuff
there's
not
an
working.
exit hatch,
Right.
you know, like you're connected to an SP, right? There's all
And if
you
you don't
had
give up
evil
the
thoughts.
SP, if you don't give up the SP, it's sec check time.
Right.
So you're going to give up somebody. And that's how they continue with that Discord and make sure you have no one to talk to. Because your best boy just threw you under the bus.
Right. Snitches, man. I mean, yeah, you know, I've done other videos where I just talk about the whole snitch culture, you know, like being a fucking narc, you know, is just so baked into the whole Scientology experience. It's so fucked up. It's like, you know, that's all they're doing is just being like ratting each other out, you know, like, so yeah, you know, and again, like East Germany. One time I'm in East Germany and I would bring in like illegal money basically. Okay. In East Germany, you had to buy there was like West German marks and East German marks. And really, in real life, West German marks were worth like 10 times more.
Wow.
Okay. But in East Germany, you had to buy it 1 for 1, and they made you buy 25 every time you came in.
Damn.
For every day. It was like $12, right? Well, what I would do is I would take another $12, you know, I'd buy like 25 with that, and then in West Berlin, I could buy it for another $12. I'd buy like 250 of them, right? So now I had like 275. I had like half a month's wage.
Okay.
Right? So I go to a bar and I try to buy a bottle of vodka for my table. And they're like, we don't have a bottle price. We only have a shot price.
Oh my God.
So I said, well, how many shots are in a bottle? Multiply, dude. And for them, that was like, you know, it was like 2 weeks rent.
Oh, wow.
Was what the damn price for that bottle. I was like, okay, cool, here we go, right? pretty soon there's 20 people sitting around my table. And I'm speaking this really bad German drunk off my ass, right? And I'm like, so I heard that in East Germany, 1 out of 5 people is an informant for the secret police. By now we got like 20 people sitting around my table to get the free vodka, right? And like, so I started looking around the table. I'm like, so that means in this table, I mean, there should be like 4, but there's definitely 1.
Right.
So I'm like, so who do you think it is? You know, and I'm just like scanning everybody. And they're like cracking up because that's their life. They know that. They're not surprised that when, you know, but it felt very subversive for me, you know, to be like, who's the informant? And the fact is, probably a third of them were. You know, not that they wanted to, but they were blackmailed, or that's how they got to go to college or whatever, you know. And they started ratting their friends out maybe when they were 12, you know, because they all had to be in the Communist Youth League and all this, right? And so the whole thing between like totalitarian dictatorships and cults, it's like exactly the same setup. You know, it's like you're snitching, you have these expectations you can never meet, you have this what do you call it, like Shangri-La idea of the future of like, when we take this thing to the fullest level, it's going to be paradise on earth, basically, right? And, you know, whether it's religion, cult, political system, whatever, you know, there's this, have you ever heard of Turkmenistan? It's one of the former republics of the Soviet Union that became an independent country. So the leader of Turkmenistan became like L. Ron Hubbard and David Miscavige and like some other ones all combined, right? He wrote a book that everybody had to read, you know, and then he built all these palaces and magnificent buildings that are like empty, right? And it just like tore down the real town and built this stuff, and like no freedom of speech, no press, no nothing, you know, really hard to get a visa to go there. Like, I won't get one now. After I talked about it, you know. And so it's like all of these things, they follow the same pattern. Right? It's like, limit the information about the outside. Give them a pie in the sky dream about what we're all working for.
Sure.
Have an outside enemy. You got to have an enemy, right? And then have this thing where you never quite get there. Right? You never quite get there, and it's always your fault. Right?
I love it.
And it's like, I mean, that's the way communism was. It's like, well, we might be having mass starvation now, but we're building for something great.
Right.
This is just the shit we got to deal with in the meantime, you know? And, you know, so in Scientology, you know, I'm thinking like, yeah, what are they telling these people? You know, it's like, I mean, can they be telling them like, oh no, it's working. This is going just according to plan. You know, because I heard one of the things that they tell people a lot is like, if when we have protesters, that's a sign that we're doing great. Right? Isn't that something they say in Scientology?
Yeah. That's
right.
Funny.
They're just jealous of our success. So they're out here. They know that we're the only ones saving the world, and they're SPs. They don't want the world to be saved.
Right.
This is a sign. We're almost there, man.
It's just so much more difficult now because they do a lot of really dumb things. I'm not going to put it in here.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
totally.
Like,
everything they do just shows what a cult they are.
I never wanted to run a cult, okay? But let's say I decide someone paid me $50 million that I could then help everyone get out of here with.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'll give you one pointer. My might help you out in the
Right.
future for your next goal. This one, all right, is at least treat, like even North Korea knows this, with exceptions. Once in a while, you gotta hang somebody, but for the most part, you have this upper echelon management and government that all have the nice condos
Right.
with the electricity that's on at least 12 hours a day.
Right.
They actually get food, they get soda pop,
Yeah.
it's rice and beans, instead of just rice. And I mean, they got Mercedes. It's a whole, and so at least when you're down here getting whipped every day, you think to yourself, man, if I could just get up here, and I know I could get there by going up the bridge.
Right.
Because the one thing all those guys have in common, they're all OT. So if I can just get my crazy ass through this,
Right.
I got it made,
Okay.
son. Right?
Yeah.
So I just have to, and plus, and then you're always in that mindset that, what are you're gonna go 80% of the way and then turn back because you can't get there? Like,
Yeah.
you're just willing to really dig in. This is your one chance at freedom, and you've already eaten all this crap, so let's go. Let's see it through.
Right.
But what Scientology did is took all the most capable and able and respected people, took them out of here, brought them to gold, and then declared them suppressive, beat the crap out of them, and throw them in the hole. So you have nothing to hope for in this
Right.
place.
Right.
The best case scenario is awful.
Well, because like also in a lot of dictatorships, you don't want to get too close to the top, right? Because like you want to be just below that, but you don't want to be up there where you're one of the contenders, because that's who gets whacked, right? You want to be a good soldier below that, get your perks, whatever. But once you get too close, it's like, like Stalin's inner circle.
Right.
They were always whacking one of those guys. Like,
Because you can't
you
trust.
didn't have any longevity up there but if you were like the next level down, I don't know about Stalin. I mean, Stalin, like, he was crazy and he wiped out all the generals and,
Well, listen, for all the OSA watching this right now, and you guys all know this is true, okay, is when everyone at your meeting had an ethical bypass at birth that's the prerequisite to be at that meeting, you can't trust anybody. When you need people, it's just like I said, when the Emperor hired Darth Vader, right? I mean, you could imagine the people, okay, well, we're going to conquer some galaxies, right? And I need you to snuff out everybody. You got the most evil, gnarly guy you could find. You don't think he's going to end up throwing you over the rails at some point?
right.
You can't hire. So of course, Davey is scared to death, and you're always going to be scared because you need people who are awful around you just to make everything work. So how do you trust those people? You don't, and that's why you punch them in the nose and declare them and throw them in the hole, because they're the only people who can hurt you.
Yeah, and they're the only people that can take over.
So the people who can take over and who can hurt Davey, so there's nowhere to go where you're safe here. There's never going to be a respite.
Well, another thing with dictatorships, okay, if you take Xi Jinping in China, you take Putin, you take David Miscavige, okay?
And he's the shortest.
Yeah. And that's hard to achieve in that group. But none of them have successors waiting in the wings. There's no plan of succession, right? In a good dictatorship there are no good dictatorships, but in a dictatorship that has longevity, that could last, you need a designated successor. You need to know that it's not going to be a bloodbath when the leader dies, that there's, if there's not a designated heir apparent, there has to be a process for how that person's going to be chosen at the right time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But the thing is, if you are a really insecure dictator like David Miscavige, you don't want an heir apparent, because then that person might start getting ideas a little prematurely about taking over, right? And you don't want, and you don't want any, or for example, if you die, this guy becomes leader, well, now somebody has an incentive for you to die, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
And so that's why Putin or Xi or whatever, they don't want a designated successor, because that would make it dangerous for them. And a lot of those people probably don't want to be designated successors anyway, because that would put them on the firing line. They'd be, they'd be under suspicion for the rest of their life.
Right.
And anything happened as an accident to the leader, or a near assassination or whatever that didn't, a failed assassination plot, that dude's dead, whether he's guilty or not, right? That's the way it works. Like Kim Jong-un killed his brother.
Right.
And the brother didn't even want to take over North Korea. He posed no threat. But he was like one of these next in line kind of guys, so had to get rid of him.
Sure.
And
makes sense.
So it's kind of like a new thing. Well, it's not new, but when you have an organization that doesn't have any way to continue, that means the leader's going to hang on forever. And I mean, is anybody even like a big name in Scientology anymore besides David Miscavige? Is there, there's the spokesman who has never seen, the woman, whatever, Karen Powell or whatever, DePow, I can't remember. But anyway, I mean, there's no like, from what I've seen, and I don't know the inner workings, but it doesn't seem like there's any any contenders, any big names, right? Like when Marty Rathbun was in, when Mike Render were in, those guys were, or Tommy Davis, right? Those guys were being interviewed by the press, like people outside of Scientology knew their names. Is there any equivalent to that right now?
No. And that's,
nothing like that, right?
No. Everything sort of went dark after Tommy Davis in my eyes. Like,
yeah.
He left, it was like rudderless from that point on, officially rudderless.
Right.
Because what church has an attorney speak for you for 15 years? Like, what is that? There's nobody in the entire building willing to speak
right.
to an attorney.
And why? Yeah, doesn't that seem a little weird? Like, why isn't an attorney? It's like if you said, "Hey, I'd like an interview with the Pope."
Talk to our
lawyer.
Attorney.
Yeah. It's like,
what?
Why should I talk to your lawyer? I want to talk about theology.
Right. And she readily admits,
no, we run everything through the lawyer. And then the lawyer's like, I'm not a fucking Catholic. I don't know any of this shit.
Right.
Right?
It's amazing. I always felt like it was rudderless from that point on. And I also felt like they sort of almost gave up. And this is Davis once again.
They knew, like you said, if they're going to answer questions, they're going to lie. And then they're going to get follow-up questions, and then they're going to look bad because they're going to keep lying, and they're going to try to back up their lies, and it's not going to work.
Like the one time I thought this church really got into trouble, okay, back, this is what, 04 or something, I don't know, when Davis was still there. But the last thing Davis did before he bolted, he did some Nightline type of a thing, one of them type of shows, and he said there was no disconnection. That's a complete farce.
Right.
And that sent rumblings throughout this entire place.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that quit because of that.
We were like,
right?
wait a second.
Yeah, right.
Wait a second. Because we had, to that point, never seen them overtly lie.
Right.
It was always stuff.
You were in when that happened?
No, but I mean, my family
okay.
was.
Yeah,
I was still not saying anything. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
Sure.
And I was like, okay, that's some nonsense. And you couple it with like these events, right? The 4, 5, 6 events a year that they'd force you to go to. Basically, you could always get out of one or two.
Yeah.
You know, but they'd always get you for 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
And you know, a birthday, Dynetics, whatever.
Yeah.
And then you'd hear Miscavige say the most ridiculous things where like, and they didn't need to be said, and it actually really hurt their like, I knew people knew, just like that claim that there was no disconnection. We were all like, this is some nonsense, because you just throw out these ridiculous figures like
2 billion new Scientologists.
We've gotten 381,600 Zimbabweans off of heroin with the new Narconon Way to Happiness book.
Right.
We airlifted it and we dropped a bucket of them all over the. What are you talking about? Like, you know this didn't happen. There's no way this happened.
Totally never happened. Yeah.
Okay, and then they do the photo ops, with the 12 people in yellow shirts,
Right.
every time there's 2 cars crash over there, but there would always be these figures, and this is how you know it's Scientological too, because normal people, when they like, this is something that they always do here. They warn you off of generalities and stuff like that. So you got to be specific, right? So,
right.
So Scientology will say, we went to Kazakhstan and we saved 411,300 people.
Right.
Since February. And you're just like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? Like, it's just so, what? They couldn't just say, we helped an enormous number of people.
Right.
It's always some savagely ridiculous number. Okay? You're like, oh, God. And you just get so used to it.
Right.
Because that's obviously being correct. That's telling it like it is.
Right.
You don't go, well, it was somewhere around 10,000.
Yeah.
You tell them. And, and then since February, like, what? Okay. And then you put the numbers together. You're like, you guys saved, 1,100 people from Nigeria every day for the last 90 days. What are you talking about? There's not that many people here.
Right.
What? And
yeah, and why wasn't it covered by the news? Well, I'm sure that's a big conspiracy, because they're all SPs. They don't want to, give us the credit, right?
Well, we would see the pictures in here that they put up on bulletin boards where you would see someone like 5th in command or whatever would actually go to Kazakhstan.
Right.
They give the mayor of Omagadabad a check for $50,000. He'll dance the jig. He'll do whatever you want for that. What are you talking about? And they make it Scientology Day.
Right.
May 2nd in Omagadabad
to
is
thank
Scientology
us
Day.
for our invaluable,
Right. We didn't do anything. We gave the guy a check for 50 grand and party on, Garth. And now it's Scientology Day. I mean, these things are so ridiculous, and they always mean nothing. And then you never hear about them again.
Right.
You're like, hey, what have we been up to in Nigeria since 94?
Yeah, since we saved everybody.
And they're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Oh, you don't have that answer. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
How's it going, bro? Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's
So yeah, I mean, that's the kind of crap that you could feel people in the Shrine Auditorium, like it just sucks the wind out of you, because you're like, I know that didn't happen, and
right.
and I'm
but
not
everybody has to look like impressed and happy, and right. I mean, that's another North Korean thing. Like, if you don't look like you believed it, if you look like you have doubts, if you look like, if you have some kind of look on your face of yeah, right, right,
you can't do
you
that.
are busted.
You can't
right?
do that.
There's no way. That's not an option.
You'd be written up. There'd be 3 KRs. There'd be 3 knowledge reports on you by the time you got back here.
Exactly.
But I always used to look at it like, how are these guys getting these powerhouse wins in the northernmost region of Afghanistan? We're having a hell of a time here in Hollywood.
We can't even get people off the street. to come in and take a personality test.
We can't get a pinch test to go in Sherman Oaks, and then they've already saved
Right.
Kazakhstan.
Right.
What the hell?
Right.
I would love to know what they're doing.
And those
over there.
people are like devout Muslims. They're not like looking to like.
The last
They're
thing
not
they're
looking to
do.
convert to some American fringe cult group, right? You know,
Oh.
it's like, oh, good luck. Yeah, go do missionary work in Muslim countries. Yeah, that'll work out well for you. For sure, dude.
We've made inroads in China like never before. What does
Yeah,
that mean?
Yeah, right.
You sent one
Oh,
Atari
my God.
2600 over there, and you said that you serviced all their computers. I mean, so
Yeah.
you're just used to hearing such madness
Right.
that you actually start. You could have interviewed me and 15 people with me when we would walk out of an Auditor's Day event or an LRH birthday event or Dynetics, like coming up
Yeah.
this Saturday, right? Dynetics event.
Yeah.
And you could have said, I will give you $5,000 if you could tell me 3 things you just heard. I mean, I would just make a wild guess. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I tune it out, baby.
Right.
I don't know. In one ear, out the other, like you said, South Korea style. I'm
Right.
smiling.
Just sit there, smile, clap, hip hip hooray. Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm yaying about. I don't. You drone on for days. Miscavige is a horrible speaker to me.
Yeah.
He's so boring. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
he's so stilted and weird.
Monotone and goofy, and
He has like the same inflection over and over, and
it just drones, and that's what we did last year. But now we're set to over 4 times that this year, and then he'll say stuff like that you then see not happen, right?
Right.
Over and over and over, because you're going to 5-6 events, so it's impossible to hide this. Where
Right.
they'll say, the Austin org is starting, tomorrow on the 31st. It opens up. The Ideal org in Austin. The next event, it still ain't open. It still ain't open. It still ain't. A year from now, it still ain't open. A year and 3 quarters, now it's open. But they'll tell you this crap, and it's not open.
Right. But they won't come back and say, "Oh, it didn't open like we said it was, but now it's really
It was
gonna."
a soft opening or some shit.
Right.
They'll just, they go, we couldn't actually
After
open.
our very successful soft opening,
They'll
now
say-
we're ready for the unprecedented real.
We had to get in the LRH sound. What is that sound? He likes to act like he's an engineer.
Right,
Of course, all
right.
of his tapes are muddled with the worst recordings of
Totally.
all times.
Yeah.
I mean, he might as well have this cloth in his mouth while he was talking.
Mhm.
And but yet, what was that? What's that sound called that he came up with? Clear sound. Clear sound. And so, we were going to open it, but we needed to put clear sound in the blah, 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 and in the hallways, and we had to make it LRH accessible to the blah, blah, blah. We didn't have his office yet. They always got something to say, and you don't even care. You just know it ain't open,
Right.
right?
And you just want to get
I've
out
clapped
of there.
for it 6 times now. This thing ain't open.
Yeah.
And Ideal org, but that was all his stuff, and that was never LRH anyway. And I mean, LRH made it clear not even to raise funds, so he's done nothing but whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
And they've done nothing about it
Right.
for 20 years now.
Nobody
No one has
has
any
any
balls.
power to do anything
So
against
stop
them.
trying to fight us, though. So stop trying to fight us. Fight him. If you actually care
Yeah,
about this
really.
nonsense, fight him. What are you fighting us for?
Totally.
How many things are you going to allow David Miscavige to do that he would have been absolutely booted out on his ass for in 92 or 88 or 82 or 78? He'd have been thrown out the door. Okay, well, he came in 86, so we took over. So from 86, let's say, to 96, he'd have got the boot 15 times already. Okay? So go after him if you care about the tech. If the tech is so meaningful, go after him.
Right.
What are you doing? We're helping you out here. If you actually think this tech's valuable, why do you let him squirrel it?
Yeah.
So he doesn't care. If that's not obvious to you, he doesn't care.
No.
This is a real estate scam. He is having a lot of fun over there at the, and I can't even imagine the debased madness that he must be involved in. Okay. But he's over here at the studios. We should head over there and relax. We should all be chilling over there sometimes.
Yeah, the former KCT place. Yeah.
On Sunset there.
Yeah,
that's where he lives.
That's where he lives.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to know how fast the cops can show up? Let's ride on the driveway of that place. They'll be there so fast. But what is he doing over there? I guarantee you it's not studying. The first thing he does when he wakes up, Rathman, Render, they've all said this, is he finds out who blew.
Right.
Does that sound like a paranoid nutcase to you? Okay. He doesn't go, who's our latest OT8 or some crap.
Right, no.
He goes, who blew? Who jumped in a trunk and hauled balls out of here? And
how often do you think somebody does blow? I mean, is it a daily occurrence?
I don't know. I don't know. I never. I don't know. It's the problem is there's nowhere to go. So I mean, it's like they got you. They got your ID. They got your money. They got
Right.
They got you. There was no SPTV. I mean, foundation, right? So this is. I look at this. And this is what I want all the people still in who are listening to this to hear me, okay? This is like KSW, but for your freedom. Like this might be your only chance to get out of here. I've been saying this not because I'm foretelling it. I'm just saying anything can happen. Anything can happen. And if SPTV went away, you'd be awful screwed. Okay, right now we're here. Right now you can take advantage of it. Right now we'll get you a place to live. We're not just saying we'll get you out of here and leave you on Hollywood and Vine. We'll get you a place to live.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get you a living wage. We'll train you so you actually can take care of yourself and get you a job. Okay, we'll get you straight. We'll get you your ID. We'll show you how this works. How do you rent an apartment? We'll co-sign. We'll do whatever we got to do to get you in someplace. Like, we're not just going to say, good luck, here's $50.
Right.
We know the jam you're in, okay?
Yeah.
We are going to get you out of that jam with your own help, and believe me, it'll be the easiest thing you ever did. It'll take about 2 months in my estimation. And if you can do 20 years here, this will be the easiest 2 months of your life.
Well, that's what I always say, like with the body routers, it's like, if you could sell Scientology nowadays, after all these documentaries, all this shit, all this public awareness, if you could still sell one goddamn book a month, you could sell real estate, cars, like
it's so true.
You could be a millionaire in 3 years, okay?
It's so true. With your work ethic,
that work ethic, you're willing to work fucking 15 hours a day or whatever.
Oh.
Any company, you start as the janitor, you're going to be a manager within a year.
For sure.
Okay? Because if you're just like, can I do overtime, please? I'm not comfortable going home after 8 hours. I feel like I didn't put in a day's work.
Christmas?
Right? Yeah, I'll work Christmas. Yeah. Oh, you pay triple overtime? Oh, shit.
Let's go.
Can we have more Christmases so I can work all of them?
I'm working Thanksgiving, yeah.
Yeah, like, hell yeah, man. Like, these people, they would find the outer world, so easy on so many levels. Like I used to do sales, and one thing that we would do, I worked in selling for a high-end dating service in New York in the late 80s.
Oh my God, that must have been crazy.
It was, because it was like computer dating. It was like, not computer. No, there was no computers. It was like you'd look in a book through pictures and profiles and shit. And there was like the men's books and the women's, binders, whatever. And then you'd watch like VHS videos of the people, and then you'd pick them and whatever, right? It was like $1,500 to join.
Woof.
Okay. in the 80s.
That's huge money
Okay,
back then.
yeah, but it was like serious, like real. It was like a block from Carnegie Hall.
Okay.
The another block away was Tiffany and Trump Tower.
Nice,
You know,
okay.
it was like 2 blocks from Central
This was
Park.
the money,
like
money people.
it was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
money area, right? But anyway, to mess with each other, you know, because it was like a competitive sales environment, you know, alpha male kind of deal, you know.
Right.
We would tell each other's clients, because you wouldn't tell them the price till the very end.
Oh.
And then we'd be like, by the way, it's $1,500, right? And then the other guy would have to still sell them anyway, even though their punchline was ruined and, you know, whatever, right? So what I'm saying is, like, with this thing, we go, if they're going to try to sell somebody on Scientology, that's what we're doing. We're like, it's a cult. It's Scientology. It costs this much. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to show you the film, then they're going to try to sell you a book, then they're going to try to sell you the course, and you know, don't give them your number. You know, the thing is, when you're doing sales, any little thing that plants any little doubt in somebody's mind, your stats go way down, like way the hell down, right? It could be anything. It's just like all of a sudden it gets cloudy, it starts raining. People are like, I think I better go home, and I think I left some shit open, whatever. And that's it. You lose 30% of your sales for the day right there.
Yeah.
It's very easy to lose a sale, right? So then I think, okay, now we're around here. Let's say we didn't even have YouTube channels. Let's say nobody read anything, they didn't read a sign, nothing. All they knew is there's people consistently out protesting against Scientology. That's enough. That's enough to inoculate a huge percentage of the population from ever doing Scientology, right? Because as soon as the Scientologist is going to close on that sale, they're going to be like, well, what about those protesters? What was that all about? You know?
What was that?
Like, you're going to buy an electric car, and you're like, oh, I like it. Well, what about those fires?
Right.
You know, and you're gauging by how does the guy is he a little too smooth about the fires? Is he empathetic enough when you say fires, right? You know, like, you're reading this guy for his vibes, you know. Sure. You're like, is this guy bullshitting me? Is this guy, you know, if he's like, well, you know, those fires are actually much rarer than you know, you would think through the press, you know, they're very sensationalistic. Plus with our insurance, you know, sure. And then they try to upsell you on the, you know, on the maintenance thing, you know, well, you know, for an extra 10 grand, I mean, you're totally covered. Right. And then people are like, oh, it's 10 grand more, you know. So the thing is, anything that you plant in anybody's head, you know, you plant an ounce of doubt, and it leads to like a ton of people not signing up, you know, right? So I don't think, like I said, they're not going to get new people hardly at all. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they get a trickle.
You can't stop that. A vacuum partially fills itself.
Exactly.
You open a door, something's coming in.
Right, exactly. So, fine, you know, they get people online, they make an appointment, they come down for a personality, whatever. They get 2 people a year off of Scientology TV or whatever that plays like North Korean propaganda reruns. You know?
It was about the same quality, too.
I used to listen to Radio Moscow when I was an exchange student, you know, in Sweden. And so I would listen to Radio Moscow. This was like 1979. And it was just like Scientology. They would always be talking about the grain harvest in the Ukraine is better than ever, you know. they were basically Radio Moscow was talking about our stats are up, our stats are up, you know.
Was that moved right there, that second window? Look at that. Look, I mean, it looks like someone just moved that.
Oh yeah. Or it's falling down.
I mean, but it's like moved to the left.
Somebody's gonna need to do some scraping and painting out there.
But I mean, that blind, it looks like someone took that blind and moved it to the left.
Yeah, it looks like somebody might be, you know, they could be filming out of there or whatever. Easily. All they gotta do is fucking tune in, man. That's, you know, we're not really hiding what we're saying. They don't need to use spy cams to get us, you know.
That's like, why it's so funny. They had a guy when I was first doing this, after like 2 weeks maybe, and he stopped and, you know,
yeah,
private eye guy. I'm like, I'm on 30 hours a week. You really think I give a shit? You got a picture? What are you nuts?
It's so dumb. And they think they're like, you know.
I gotcha. Click. Wow, that's heavy.
I used to get this troll on here that would just be like, what are your crimes? I'd be like, dude, what are your crimes, really? That was in the old, like, anonymous videos I used to watch back in the day. You know,
That's
like,
great.
You guys got to get some new talking points, man. What are your crimes? You know, it's like, I was watching the Mark Bunker one where they were hassling him, like, right here. Like 20 years ago, whatever, 15 years ago. They were having some event, and Mark Bunker tried to walk down the street, and the cops wouldn't let him. Like, okay, some things never change. But it was these three guys being all crazy-eyed, Xenu eyes coming after him. And they're really like, well, if you're against this, then you have crimes. That's just the way it works, dude. Like, you know, they're so indoctrinated into the whole SP concept and whatever, like, well, there's no other way, dude. Like, if you have a problem with Scientology, obviously you have crimes. There's just
right
no other way.
There is no other option.
You know, and it's like, but I mean, and then I think now, like, how many of those people aren't in Scientology? Most of them. I don't know about those three guys, but
happened, that was another thing I thought of immediately when Anonymous happened. I was like, so how are you going to justify pulling this in?
Right. Yeah, you pulled this in. They're pulling us in, being right here, right now. Why'd you pull it in, Scientology? How did that happen?
When it happens to me, I pull it in. When it happens to Scientology, it's because I'm an asshole. So, wait a second.
Heads I win, tails you lose, man. You know, right?
Boy, is that convenient?
Yeah, it's very convenient. You know.
Only tyrants and cults needed to work that way, right? What normal person or organization needs the rules to go like that? You know.
It's just when you're, well, you know, when it's high control. When it's.
Did you hear that Natalie today talking? That Tom,
no, I didn't. I didn't.
The
tune
Tom
into
Cruise
her
clip
today.
where
Right.
I heard this, you know, in its entirety years ago. But
yeah.
It was just so funny because, like, only Scientology could ever say this. Tom Cruise had to tell Seth Rogen, if you just give me 20 minutes, I can tell you what this is about. 20 minutes? Dude, that just happens to be how long Mike Rinder needs, you know, before he can start talking about the subject at hand. That's about how long, you know, he needs to go into other crap before he talks about, you know, if you need a 20-minute preamble, whew, are you hiding everything? I mean, it's like an Easter egg hunt. I mean, and 20 minutes to tell me what Scientology is about. How come when I ask...
but they're not going to tell you about Xenu. They're not going to tell you.
And they still ain't
about,
going to tell you anything.
You know, yeah,
They're
not
gonna
going to
say
tell
it's
you real shit. Yeah.
An applied religious philosophy.
Yeah.
That's what I used to tell people. Okay? It's an applied
So
religious...
apply it to me right now.
Well, there they go.
Right.
So what does that mean? It's like no one would really say that because you should know what that means, supposedly. Like, but I go, so we're not praying to anybody.
Is there a word you don't understand?
We're not praying to anybody.
Right.
It's just a religious philosophy that makes your day-to-day life easier and more able to, direct and whatever, this kind of crap.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say buy a book, right? But that would get people angry at me. They go, you can't freaking tell me one sentence. I mean, don't tell me the whole thing. Just tell me what is it? What do you guys do?
Right. Like a Christian could tell you, accept Jesus as your personal savior and you won't go to hell. Okay. The end.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
There we go. Okay, so there's hell.
And then they'll give me a Bible
and
for
they'll
free.
give you a free Bible. Yeah.
I give you a way to happiness pamphlet that says don't shit your pants, don't punch the elderly. Like, what am I learning here? I mean, what? It's just silliness,
Yeah, exactly. Like, don't. Yeah, it's like brush your teeth.
Right.
And
and that saved 900,000 people in Nigeria.
Right. Oh yeah, Nigeria is thriving now because of that shit.
Narconon came into and they would do this kind of crap too, where like they got the psychiatrists
right
out of Madagascar or whatever, and you're just like, what the?
There's like 2 psychiatrists in Madagascar,
What?
and they never left. Nothing ever happened. Yeah, like
this stuff you can't prove. There was no internet.
Right.
It was just hours of nonsense.
Or Scientology gave them a paid vacation somewhere for a week, you know, and then we got them out of there.
Yeah.
Best week Madagascar ever had. Yeah,
You should see what we're doing in Kamchatka. Yet we can't do nothing in North Hollywood.
Right.
That always blew me away.
Yeah, like solve the homelessness of LA. And then you'll have our attention.
Oh, I'm glad you just said that too, because that was another thing that I had a real big problem with at the very beginning of my journey through here, which was all the lies, like the things that they told me were true when I started. Like there was 4 or 5 of them that really messed me up right away, which is they tell you, I've heard them say it to people right in front of me, especially at Celebrity Center, where they would say at the register, they'd be like, a guy would be like, well, I'm a homosexual. I heard you guys got a problem. No, it's fantastic. It's all good. Care less. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
More power to you, my friend.
Right.
All good. Well, I'm also a Methodist. Shit. No problem.
We love Methodists.
Yeah, we're all out there.
Yeah, we got a lot of them. Yeah.
Right, exactly. But with that attitude, it's perfect. And I'm like, bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And then they were like, I'm on this outreach program, that I help with.
So how do they break it to a gay person later on? That
They can help you.
Right. But if the gay person like, hey, I specifically asked about this on the first day, and you bullshitted me.
Then you're in big
But
deal.
then they're like, whatever, we got, X amount out of
That
the
person's
guy.
already left.
Yeah,
So that's
they're
not
gone.
happening.
Yeah, right.
That person's like, you guys
And at least
suck.
you got something, right? You got a
some
stat.
tapes, whatever,
Yeah, you sold a book, you did whatever, right? You put it on your list.
Because keep in mind, they hide that from you until the PTSS.
Oh, isn't today Stats Day?
Yeah, 2 o'clock. Yeah.
2 o'clock. Oh, we missed it.
But
Okay.
they hide that from you till the PTSSP course, and that's not something you're going to do in your first year.
Yeah.
You'll be in a year, and by then you're already getting, But that's the first. Oh, when you read Science of Survival, it's just a tiny little piece on one page, and then there's all where he makes it clear that to be. He calls it you are a what is the word he uses? You are well, anyway, you can't be above covertly hostile and be gay. And then
Right.
They know it's going to be
1.1 or whatever.
on the
I just
toast.
got to stand in the sun for 1 second.
It's freezing.
Getting a little chilly.
It is. It really is.
Well, to be sitting around in shorts.
Yeah.
with
Well, I
t-shirt.
was scribbling. It was hotter than hell.
Yeah. I mean, that's a funny thing here, in LA. Like, you could be in the shade, and it's like it feels like 30 degrees colder in the shade than in the sun. That's
But they would that always irritated me, that they would readily say it's okay that you're a gay Methodist, right? No problems at all, and take your money. And I'm like, now that's some crap. And I always felt it was like such a cowardly move too, because you know damn well that ain't okay. Right.
Just stand for what you said.
Come on.
Especially if it's a religion.
Well, if you're always
stand
right
for your
about everything,
beliefs.
why do you hide it? Right. That's why I never could reconcile. And
yeah, like you say, the celebrity center. I mean, you're in LA. Like, it's not a place where there aren't going to be any gay people around. Like what the hell?
Right. And they got checkbooks, right? So they're like, let's get this money.
Right.
And then if you did happen to say, hey, wait a second, what's with this one thing? Like, let's just say you got there, right? And they go, hey, how do I reconcile this? They'd say, we're going to handle this. It's not a problem because we're going to handle it. It's only a problem if we couldn't handle it. See, we're going to handle that.
Well, most gay people are not too into the gay conversion therapy idea these days, so.
That's why they would tell you it's not a problem, because you couldn't say you're lying. It is a problem. They go, no, it's not a problem because we're going to handle it.
Right, but then that means you can't be gay.
Right.
Right. And that's not what
you said.
Any gay people will be. I mean, in the 50s, people were like, please make me not gay. Like, this is a pain in the ass, right? But nowadays, it's like, no, this is great. I'm not trying to change it at all,
No. And they, the religious angle, and also, and the one that I had the most trouble with of anything, 10 to 1 I had more trouble with, was if it isn't true for you, it isn't true. So don't worry about it. That's always their big closer, okay? Because you can say, hey, I got a certain thing going with Jesus upstairs, and whatever, and I don't know about this, and hey, if it ain't true for you, it ain't true, my friend, don't worry about it. We're good, okay? So you can feel free to take this course. If it ain't working, don't worry about it. And there's never been a bigger lie in the history of this church, because you have to do everything per the syllable, letter of the law, or it's your ass. Does that sound like if it ain't true for you, it ain't true? So I always had a big problem with that one. Big problem.
Well, that's the thing. When you're in it and you know the deal, then you see other people being pitched and whatever.
Yeah, that was some nonsense.
And you weren't Sea Org, you were
Public.
Yeah, you were public, so you're one of the people being scammed. You're one of the people that they're, being bled for resources.
You know what they do is they literally make it easy for people like me, where they don't make it easy for the Sea Org guys. So
right.
They make it harder and hell for them, but they know public can only put up with so much nonsense.
Yeah. But they still, not like there's zero nonsense, because they know that, right? It's like they still go for the nonsense.
Your family and do everything.
Right.
They're not as overt about it.
Yeah, they don't do Sea Org level. Yeah, I get it.
Everything's far more covert.
Right. But still, like, you see them bullshitting people coming in, and well, that's probably how your parents got in. They bullshitted them.
Yeah, I think it was easier though, because like in '68, people were looking for stuff like this.
You're right. And they didn't have that many options. They didn't know.
And my
about
parents
all
were
these
Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco.
Right.
This was perfect.
People were
made
trying
sense.
all kinds of shit. Yeah, like Tori. She was like, I was a hippie, but then these people kind of had their act together. They showed up on time. That was impressive, whatever.
I remember a guy in a celebrity center on La Brea walked in with a joint. And the registrar, 8-seat him in there. And then said, and then lit up a cigarette, because back then people were smoking, 24/7.
Right.
And the guy's like, oh, would you mind putting that out? You know, and he's like, oh yeah, okay, cool, right? But never said like you can't do that here, right? You know what kind of trouble you'd get into if you had a beer and you were on foundation hours and you didn't say, you know, you cannot be on course within 24 hours of having alcohol.
Right.
You won't drug them when you come in, right?
Right.
We're not supposed to take ass. We're not supposed to do anything, right?
Right.
So, but you let this guy walk in there with a joint, and I'm sure he was a gay Methodist to boot.
Yeah, right.
And you just lied out your ass sideways to get him to buy a book. And I always thought that was so scummy. Like, you can't just sell this guy a book.
Right.
You gotta BS your way through all the. And so
you got to act like it's cool to be actively smoking a joint walking in the door.
Yeah.
And like, no big deal. Oh, can you put it?
No big deal.
Right. But yeah, you join up, and then all of a sudden.
You're in ethics.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
What do you mean you're smoking a joint through the freaking what? What? Okay.
What are your ill intentions towards L. Ron Hubbard?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, like.
So, you know.
Oh my God.
That stuff used to really irritate. I really didn't like the registrars. I really didn't like them, because to me they were the only people in the entire place that like had full authority and autonomy to lie their ass off.
Right.
You could say any damn thing. You get a check for $12,000. I don't care how you got it.
Yep.
We'll worry about it later once the check clears.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, and I always hated that part, because you want to feel proud. Like when you bring someone in, you want to feel like, hey, this is the pastor or whatever, you know, and he's a good guy and he set me straight or whatever, you know, I'm feeling good, and I want you to talk to him. You can't do that here and feel good about it, because you feel like I'm bringing someone to this lying piece of crap.
Yeah.
Who's gonna blast your credit cards.
Right. So you know you're gonna lose a friend if you bring him in here.
I never brought anybody. Oh,
No.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I hid this so great. I mean, here's the funny thing. The only time they could have hurt me personally is when I was a Scientologist, because I didn't want anyone to know I was.
Right.
Who wasn't in Scientology. I felt so good, like at the mall, or I could go someplace where I knew I wasn't going to run into nobody, like Glendale Galleria or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I could just walk along and not be a Scientologist.
Yeah.
I could just go get myself a cookie, talk to someone, a normal person. He doesn't know I'm a wackadoo, you know, and you know, and he doesn't know that I had to ask someone, you know, have you ever smothered a baby? you know.
By the way, have you ever smothered a baby? You know, just a normal conversation here. You know.
This is what, you know, young people talk about. Yeah. So, damn, Danny hauling ass. So that's the kind of crap, you know, that always irritated the hell out of me. I hated that I couldn't bring someone in and be proud.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Totally.
I was only proud faking it amongst 100% Scientologists.
Yeah, right.
Okay? Because they would give me the fake, you know, claps of, well done, you did whatever course you did. And I only did it to make my parents proud, like most kids, you know, trying to make your parents proud. I saw my sister made my parents super duper proud, and I was like, oh crap, I want some of that. And she was able to call her own shots, do as she wants. I thought, this is great, let me try it, you know. And she got.
Did she go to higher levels than you? Or?
Oh hell yeah.
Right.
And she was very intelligent, like, you know, reading French poetry. I'm reading Spider-Man. She's way, you know, way above me on this. You know? Her confront was considerably higher than mine, and she could put up with a lot more discomfort than me. But she was on a course they don't even have now, the briefing course. St. Hill Special Briefing Course. The SHSBC. That was the biggest course there ever was, and there's like 1,200 tapes on it. I mean, it's a joke. And she got that through with that at like 13.
Whoa.
People are on that course for 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I finished the New Era Dynetics course in 2 years, which was a miracle. Granted, I understood nothing.
Right.
I only got through it because I was fast flow. In other words, I did the student ad and the M1 co-audit, which means now I don't have to get things that are starred on my check sheet, I don't have to get a check out from the supervisor. Otherwise, if you're not fast flow, then you have to go, and the supervisor comes over and goes, what's the definition of because? What's the definition of and? What's the definition of they? And you're just like, oh, and you got to use them in sentences.
That's the worst, man. I mean, I practically have a PhD, but if you ask me to define any word, I'm going to be like, I don't know. I can make a sentence with it, but,
But you couldn't even
I
do
can
it with
use
synonyms.
it correctly, whatever, but I can't, Yeah, I could do a test like where they have synonyms, like I'll do well on all that, but if you say, give me like a dictionary definition,
they could ask you the derivation.
Right.
Well, it's Old Norse from blah 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 in Latin.
You're supposed to memorize that
yes,
for everything?
Damn right.
Right. Okay.
Now, since I already faked my way through the M1 co-audit course, which was to recover my entire education, which at that point consisted of 4 grades. Okay. After recovering that, I'm fast flow because here's the thing. Dianetics, just the book itself, is maybe the most unreadable tome of all time.
Yeah. I tried once or twice and I was just like, fuck this. I'm not reading this
I tell
bullshit.
anybody, if you have any trouble sleeping, get you a copy of Dianetics.
Yeah.
Okay? It is the best thing you ever...
Oh my God.
Because not only will you not understand every 7th word, but if you did, it doesn't matter because it doesn't make any sense. And he spends half the book talking about banging pregnant women, like when your prick hits the baby and that's another engram, and you're just, the whole thing's disgusting. The entire thing is disgusting and gross and stupid.
Yeah.
It was the most worthless book ever. I understood nothing. But I did understand one thing, actually. I'll take that back. For $5 back in the day, you could buy that book.
Right.
And L. Ron Hubbard said, with 20 to 100 hours of book 1, co-auditing. So you bought a book. Hell, we could share my book.
Right.
$2.50 a piece. We're in. And now for 20 to 100 hours, I could go clear. Okay? Why is it when I get in here, it costs
50 grand,
$100,000?
100 grand, yeah.
I thought I could do it for $5 in 20 hours, 100 hours. So they just kept moving the goalposts. And Begay, the guy in the Chicago PD,
I know. Jason Begay, yeah.
He has a 2-hour thing you can see on YouTube. It's the greatest thing
I
ever.
saw it right when he made it, yeah.
I've watched it 3 times total now. And it's my favorite thing ever. And he spits it like nobody's business. And he didn't even get his money back so he could spit it how he wants to, because he wasn't going to sign shit. He said he was at Flag, and he had the senior CS International. He had all the highest big dogs there are taking care of his case. Okay, he couldn't go any higher up and get higher trained or with more experience than the people he had.
Right.
And yet he's not getting the gains.
Yeah.
And then he went to them and said, L. Ron Hubbard is the only thing I care about in this anyway, because this is what it's what he says, right? I don't care what this guy says. So he goes, it says, if it's being delivered standardly and the ethics are not in the question, you will get these gains, these EPs, 100% of the time.
Right.
If standard tech. So he goes, obviously I'm not getting standard tech because I ain't getting the gains. So
Right.
when you idiots figure out how to give me this,
Yeah.
give me a call.
Right.
Okay? But I am not going to keep listening to tapes where you say, well, this is the 15th time LRH has, said, I got it now. I got clear.
Yeah.
Finally figured it out. Well, how about you give me my money back on the last 2 intensives?
Right.
Okay, where you didn't have it figured out.
Nope, that's never going to happen.
It is so good. God, I love that. Jason Begay. Do not forget. Jason Begay, YouTube. It's the
absolutely.
Greatest thing you ever saw.
It's a great video, and yeah, he just lays it all out brilliantly.
And I love how he just doesn't give a crap about his money or anything. I'm just going to tell you what's up.
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it's
They got the pressure washer on the other side, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the what?
They're washing you guys off.
Could care less. It only needs to be in the stream.
Now you can make some new stuff.
Yeah, it's all good.
I think it's cool that you're writing notes to them now.
Trying to save some lives,
You
man.
guys are fun. I was hoping you guys are still here. I mean, I see it changed, like, where's the camp, but...
Oh, it'll be back. People got to take breaks, you know.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Got to switch it up, like
All right.
antibiotics, you know.
Yeah, it might take a lot of switching up, huh?
Yeah.
Ay, ay, ay. Man, we've been talking for 2 hours.
Cool.
Not
I
bad.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. But I still want to get more deeper in at another time into some psychology, because like talking to people who have spent that much time in, and most of the time people that I have talked to that have been Sea Org.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I've talked to other people that were public like you.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Yeah. Because also, like people could be public for a very short period of time, but then they wouldn't have that much info in that
There's
case.
not that many public that could put that. They have to have everything on you like they did with me and my family to keep you on the straight and narrow. Obviously, they got your ass if you're in the SO or staff. Well, staff not really, but the SO they got you. And so it was weird because I was in the belly of the beast, and I thought everything could not have been any worse. But then I see how SO people were treated.
Oh, yeah.
And I always, that was the other thing too. I said, why the hell, when communication is everything, why on earth would you be screaming and yelling at these people? Like, what's the point of that? I thought the whole point was that you're going to be, and then to go, KSW, KSW. That's the answer to everything. Keeping Scientology.
Well, if it's always attack, never defend and all that,
Well, I'm saying to your own staff. Why are you?
Oh, to your
Why
staff.
are you being
Right.
belligerent to your own staff?
I mean, I think even to us, if they would just kind of gaslight and be like, I don't know what you guys are so worked up about, but come on in.
That's what I said. My
have
first
have
thing.
I
would have had.
Are you
soda pops.
thirsty?
I'd have
Right.
A whole cooler full of Dr. Pepper.
kill them
whatever
with
you want.
kindness. It's so stupid.
Here's a stool, and we're going to take each one of you on a tour. Come on, and guess what? This whole thing would have went nowhere because you'd have been so bored, your brain would have blew up.
See, I work with people, consulting people a lot of times, mainly in the fashion industry, where it's a lot of huge mega egos, and help people kind of like, deal with those egos,
Right.
And so, and you got to get creative. You got to get really creative with, and you got to stay true also. You can't just be bullshitting. So you got to stick with the truth, but it's like how you frame it, how you say it, right? And if Scientology
All right,
just,
guys. Yeah, go ahead.
if they acted like, hey man, we're just doing our thing, we're just this like little weird religion, and yeah, I mean, some people don't like us, whatever, but I don't know what you guys are so worked up about, right? Come on in, let's have a talk, let's chill, and then just be boring. Be like Methodists, right? Just be like, well, the difference between Methodists and Presbyterians, and you're like, yeah, okay, right? Like, are you going to want to talk to a Methodist for 3 hours about how they're different than Presbyterians, really? Unless you're like a theology student or some shit, right?
86 GOP, thank you so much. You are amazing.
You could get everybody with just pure boredom. Just be boring goobers and just like, we're really excited about our, and people would be like, yeah, they're harmless. They're just goofy, right? But no, they have to come up with this evil shit where they're looking like, what are your crimes? And like, are you a child molester? It's like, dude, where'd you get that from? Well, you have to be if you don't like Scientology.
Right.
Like, dude, no. That's not how anything works.
Well, they call that, when you do that to them, they say that's A equals A. That's what they'll tell you. But yet, they'll do it to you.
Right. And then it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a totally different
goose,
mathematical system when they're doing it. Yeah.
Well, listen, my friend. I really enjoyed it.
Very cool. Very cool.
I love hanging with
you guys. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk very soon. Bye-bye. Hit the like button on your way out if you don't mind. Bye.
And I'm going to talk to these people as I go back to my ride here. But I